Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Hope everybody is having a good day so far. But I doubt it. If you're a Saints fan, I'm pretty sure you're having a rough day. You're having a rough outing. And, you know, Who Dat Nation, I can't say that I'm surprised by the turn of events that has taken place. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we're talking about Saints quarterback Derek Carr and Mickey Loomis speaking to the local media, pretty much saying that Derek Carr is going to be the starting quarterback in 2025. And he believes that Derek Carr, is a guy that the Saints can win with. May not be the best choice of to make when it comes to making a statement, but we know that Mickey Loomis, he doesn't shy away from controversial takes. I can tell you that right now. Shouts out to everybody in the chat right now. All right, shouts out to you. Hope you're having a good one. If you're watching this on a Wednesday, happy Wednesday to you. Do your boy a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that like button if you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast. If you enjoy the energy that we bring here on the State of the Saints podcast. If you enjoy the interviews that we've been putting up here on the State of the Saints podcast. Shout out to my guy, John O'Barnes. I was on his podcast on yesterday, on a Tuesday. Shouts out to him. If you enjoyed that, make sure you give that video a like. But since you're here, give your boy a like too. All right? Appreciate you. And also, special shout out to those that are not in the chat right now. Shouts out to you. And for those that are new, that probably just stumbled across this channel, I appreciate it. We're a very interactive podcast. All you have to do is put those comments in the chat. And it's been a minute since I actually did this, but I got to give a special shout out to those that can't be here live, but checking it out later. Shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
I ain't about to let Mickey ruin my mood. Hey, I ain't about to let Mickey ruin my mood. Hey, I ain't about to. Okay, all right, man. I had to lighten up the mood, man, because I ain't about to have no show like this where everybody just pouting and woe is me. Like, come on, man. Look, why are we surprised at this point? We know what the New Orleans Saints are and what they have been, man. They've been this same team for I don't know how long, and it's going to be the same way as long as Mickey Loomis is the general manager of this team. We just got to hope that Kellen Moore is able to rid us of, hearing much of Mickey Loomis. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Mickey Loomis has spoken after every season that the New Orleans Saints had over the years. People just didn't pay that much attention to it. If Kellen Moore can turn this thing around, start winning some football games, nobody would care about what Mickey Loomis has to say. And I'm pretty sure he wouldn't mind that. People hang on to his every word. And I honestly feel like if you go back into the archives, I'm pretty sure he probably said something that you didn't agree with. The only difference was the Saints were pretty successful, and you know they probably was going to win double-digit games because they had Sean Payton and Drew Brees. But now it just feels like a sinking ship, and a guy that doesn't really know what to do is telling you all the things that make you upset. But let's go ahead and get into this whole Derek Carr situation. I was really wondering, should I have played the song? But I said I was going to leave it alone. All right. I was going to play the song, but I decided to leave it alone. All right. Because I felt that we needed to have a healthy conversation, right? We need to have a healthy conversation about Derek Carr. I get it, man. I 100% get what Saints fans are trying to say. They're saying that the New Orleans Saints aren't going to win jack with Derek Carr. And why would you bring a guy back that you know that you ain't about to win jack with? Why would you bring a guy that is going to put you further back to reaching your goal, which is finding a true successor at quarterback? Why would you bring him back? Well, we already know it has a lot to do with the salary. We know that it has a lot to do with the Saints not wanting to eat a hefty price tag for Derek Carr. We know that with this, it is going to require a restructure of the contract. So we know that that is going to happen. But in the process, you're able to get within cap compliance by restructuring him along with a couple more guys' deals and maybe singing bye-bye farewell to those that have been bold soldiers in the Saints organization. But at the end of the day, I think that we all see that Derek Carr is not what the Saints need going forward. We know that you're not going to win games because of him. You're not going to get over the hump with him as your starting quarterback. And if you want to pay a guy, if you want to be committed to a guy, you want him to be able to help your team get out of uncharted waters. The Saints have no one to blame but themselves for this situation. Like, this was a decision that was made by the Saints organization along with Mickey Loomis and then head coach Dennis Allen. And I at the time, I will say that I kind of saw the silver lining in the dark clouds that we see now. I kind of felt like we should have gave Derek Carr a chance, but I will say that I think a lot of my take and my thoughts on Derek Carr was me looking at them stats. And that is why I coined the phrase, all stats aren't created equal. That's why I started saying that, because when you look at Derek Carr's stats, if you just didn't pay that much attention to Raiders football, and why should you? They stink. And, you know, you have to wonder to yourself, like, okay, you know, Derek Carr, look at these stats. Like, what did the Raiders organization let him down? 60+% completion percentage, good touchdown to interception ratio, all these things that tells you that there's some good quarterback over there. But at the end of the day, when you see the way that he operates, dinking and dunking, you know, understanding that check downs count as a completion, all these different things, right? For you to see that in real time, you see that this guy basically, you have to kind of call it for what it is. It seems like it's more about self-preservation. It's about making sure that you stay within the conversation. When people are bringing up, man, who's a good quarterback? They can bring up Derek Carr because they can start following it up with statistics. But that's what I'm saying. Like, statistics don't always tell the whole entire story. I'd rather have a quarterback that doesn't really look that good statistically, but wins more often than losing, than a guy that has a really good completion percentage and doesn't win anything. And then I know what you're also thinking. I know what you're thinking as well before I get to the chat. I know what you all are thinking. What makes this dude so different than any of these other quarterbacks that we have seen that have won something, right? We know right now that Matthew Stafford was given the green light to shop around and maybe look for a trade for his next destination, leaving the Rams. He's won a Super Bowl. We know that the New York Football Jets have hired Aaron Glenn as their head coach, and he already told Aaron Rodgers that his services are no longer needed in New York, right? Super Bowl winning quarterback, multi-time MVP, even Russell Wilson more than likely will not be returning to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Went to the Super Bowl twice, won one. What makes Derek Carr different than any one of those gentlemen? Every last one of those guys I named won something, and you can honestly say is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. This has everything to do with the fact that the Saints just don't want to eat that hefty price tag. They do not want to sacrifice a season where they may not look as credible, but nobody is going to believe in this team. Like, seriously, I don't care if you're the biggest Saints fan that ever walked the face of God's green earth. You have zero confidence in his football team. And the more that Mickey Loomis makes decisions like this, the less faith the New Orleans Saints will have, fans will have in the New Orleans Saints organization. It's sad because this team just refuses to understand what we all know is that they are in the process of a rebuild. It's no disrespect to anybody on that team. I got nothing but respect for those players. Lord knows I do. But everybody and their mama know that the New Orleans Saints are going through a rebuild. The only individuals that seem to not understand that are the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are that guy that has went to Vegas and has lost every bit of money that he has. Everybody that is telling him that has been in a casino, hey, man, just let it go. Just let it go, man. Get on out of here, man. Man, you ain't got nothing, man. The next thing you know, man, you're going to be walking out of here with just your drawers on, man. Go home. Go home. And then all of a sudden, he starts walking out of the door. And then, you walk through the desert, and like how you walk through the desert, they have that bale of hay that just walks right past. $2 just fly up in his hand. And he just looks at it. And those $2 that he have should be a bus ticket home. But instead, he takes that $2 and walks right back in that casino and says, this is my chance. The New Orleans Saints are that guy that have walked back into that casino with $2 saying there's a chance. Well, I'm telling you right now that the chance is very, very slim, and you're about to be walking out of this casino in your drawers. All right? It is time to embrace the rebuild. It is time to embrace what you are as a team. And you have to understand that this isn't going to help you in the long haul. Unless the New Orleans Saints are about to go to no further than a divisional round of the playoffs, this is not going to help you. Like, nobody is going to believe in this. Like, even if the New Orleans Saints start the season off the way that they did last season, nobody is going to believe this because nobody believes in Derek Carr as the starting quarterback of this team. Look, fair or unfair, depends on who you talk to when it comes to Derek Carr. Saints fans do not believe this dude is their quarterback. And I don't think they ever will. It would have to take an MVP caliber performance in order for the apologists to come out about Derek Carr. Because here's the thing. When Derek Carr has played well in a Saints uniform in games, it's been times where Saints fans were about to muster up enough guts and confidence and say, I'm sorry, Derek Carr. And then the next couple of weeks, he'll revert right back to the reason why nobody really believes in him as a quarterback. It is going to have to take a MVP caliber performance in order for Saints fans to buy into Derek Carr. And honestly, 12 years into the season, well, into his career, I should say, you have to believe that what you see is what you get. But let's go ahead and go to these comments, man. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for being here. 252 people watching this right now that have came up in here. I appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Says Kellen better go to Gale if he don't want Carr. If he's in on it, that's strike one in my opinion. Why win 7 games and we still can't draft a quarterback? Well, here's the thing, and I said this on Saints Talk on Bleacher Report. Who's to say that he won't draft a quarterback? I'm not going to sit up here and try to, downgrade Kellen Moore. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to be like that. We've been talking about this guy's decisions and what he has brought to the table and what he has added to this team and being necessary for this team. I'm not going to just look at the first thing that a lot of us disagree with and be like, oh man, he don't know what he's doing. I'm not going to do that. Okay. There's a lot more good so far that Kellen Moore has done than he has done that people are going to disagree with. We need to give that man the benefit of the doubt. Like, we can't just sit up here and just, want this man to like basically, go at Mickey Loomis's neck or whatever like that. And that's going to, appease us. Like, the guy has really brought in some coaches that have a reputation of developing players and being really good teachers. For that, I got respect for Kellen Moore in that regard. I am not going to let one decision that I disagree with, like, just basically just throw out everything that this guy is trying to work on, trying to build. And I just feel like if you're working like that, like, I just think that you need to prioritize. Like, your energy is low and you're frustrated because maybe you're not a bigger fan of Derek Carr, which is understandable. But Kellen Moore is just trying to build something within his organization. But like I said, who's to say that he won't draft a quarterback? Who's to say that even though Derek Carr is the quarterback, that if things go awry or he start playing as pedestrian as somebody walking across the street, that Kellen Moore won't go with Spencer Rattler or go with a quarterback that he drafted or go with a veteran that he brings in? Who's to say that he won't? Like, we seen the Atlanta Falcons sign Kirk Cousins, right, to a nice, hefty contract, over $100 million, 4-year deal, but they still, with the 8th pick last season, they drafted Michael Penix, and everybody thought they was crazy. But until we watched Kirk Cousins, like, just completely implode right in front of our eyes. So that looked like a boneheaded decision at the time that Terry Fontenot did, but he looks like a genius at the end of the day. So just because Derek Carr on paper is going to be the starting quarterback doesn't mean that means that Kellen Moore won't try to build up this quarterback room, or maybe find a guy that he feels is going to be the quarterback of the future. Because I don't care what Mickey Loomis is saying. Like, I don't expect for Mickey Loomis to go out and say, well, man, we got Derek Carr back because we're contractually obligated to having him as the quarterback. I don't expect for him to say that, because if he did say that, then I guarantee you Derek Carr probably wouldn't have showed up to the facility, and then you really have yourself an issue or a problem when it comes to all that going on. But all I got to say is he's not going to say that. But just because they're committed to him this year doesn't mean they're committed to him in the future. So that doesn't mean that the New Orleans Saints won't be looking for that quarterback. And if they find a decent quarterback, let's just say if he's high on Jackson Dart, and Jackson Dart is like a second round, third round pick, depends on who you're talking to and where he at, and you decide to draft him and you feel like he has some upside, like, who's to say that he won't draft him? I don't feel like he is tied down, I'm talking Kellen Moore, to any one of these quarterbacks within his organization. He inherited everything within his organization until the Saints take part in this season's NFL draft. Nobody on his team Kellen Moore has drafted. Nobody on this team Kellen Moore has signed and brought to this organization. So he doesn't have an allegiance. He doesn't hold anybody anything. So look, all I gotta say is just stay tuned, man. Like, I understand that a lot of us have football PTSD, excuse me, when it comes to the Saints and their decisions and stuff. So, we get a little bit triggered by some of the things that we've seen because they look familiar. But I'm willing to give this guy an opportunity, man. I'm not going to call him a yes man. I'm not going to call him, this is a guy that's a Mike McCarthy or, a Jason Garrett 2.0 or something like that. A guy that, has a general manager that he just bows down to. I'm not going to say that about him. All I'm saying is this guy has done one thing so far that I think that the majority of the Saints fan base disagrees with. We cannot just throw the whole thing out just because he does one thing that we disagree with. Now, if these customs continue, like, you have to start thinking about, does this guy have that energy? And I get it, because the reputation of Kellen Moore coming to the New Orleans Saints was, does he have that alpha male in him? Does he have that that big coach energy that you see from some of the main main coaches in the league, the Sean Paytons out here, the Nick Siriannis, the guys that, the buck starts and stops with them. Does he have that inside of himself? But then when you see Mickey Loomis making decisions like that, and people are just wondering on top of what they already feel about Kellen Moore is, that's one decision that I don't like. It seems like he kind of bending the knee here, but it's very, very early in the process. Like, has the dude even been a coach for a month yet? I don't even think he's been a head coach of the Saints for a month. So let's give the guy an opportunity to figure out who he is and what he is as a coach before we just start throwing away our Saints, paraphernalia and, and all this other stuff, man. Let's just pump the brakes. I get it. Tension is high. People want to see a winner. We want some new things. We want to get away from old customs, but let's just get this guy an opportunity to see what he has, man, before we just completely just start jumping off the Caesar Superdome. J Rock, thank you very much for the $2. Says Mickey Loomis with these last $2. Thank you very much, J Rock. And Taz, thank you very much for the $4.99. I appreciate that very, very, very much. I'm gonna scroll down because I know I said a lot, folks. So if you don't hear your comments, go ahead and copy and paste them so I can read them at the bottom of the screen. Jesse says, I'm not worried. Carr's going to get hurt by game 3. Well, look, Jesse, I know we look at Derek Carr. I won't say we don't like him. I don't know the dude like that. I know we prefer something different, but I ain't trying to see the man get hurt. I don't want to see the man get hurt. I don't want to see any player get hurt. And I know that's not what you're insinuating. Like I want him to get hurt, but I mean, I wouldn't want that to be the reason why the New Orleans Saints go in a different direction. Like, the man needs to be able to take care of his family and be able to finish his career on his own terms. But I get what you're saying, but man, I wouldn't want to see him get hurt in order for the Saints to have to move on. Carr enjoying the fans' sorrow at this point, just like Loomis chewing juicy fruit. Yeah, Bruce, pretty much. I don't think that Derek Carr really too much cares about what fans think. And to be honest with you, he shouldn't. He shouldn't care about what we think. I feel like if you do care too much about what the fan base thinks, you definitely aren't the right person for the job, because you got to be pretty thin, have pretty thick skin when it comes to being a professional athlete. I mean, everything that you do is pretty much publicized. Like, any decision that you make, good or bad, is going to be publicized. It's going to be scrutinized in some cases. So, I don't expect for him to care about what I think or anybody else thinks. I just think that Saints fans are just, frustrated with the whole situation. They just want to see good quarterback play, the quarterback play that a lot of you grew up on. And that's something that's fair to ask for. TJ, are you still sold on T-Mac at 9? Is there a quarterback you see that you're willing to take at that spot? No, I do not. I know Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders are the 2 top quarterbacks that are going to be in this year's draft, Keen Arthur, but I think those guys are going to be going by 9. The fact that they pretty much confirmed that they're going to keep Derek Carr, that makes me feel like they probably are going to go with a guy like McMillan if he was to be there at 9. I know Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. There were a couple draft boards. I want to say Mel Kiper may even alluded to him going to the Saints. I just don't know, would that be a good fit? Depends, I guess, on the offense that the Saints are running. But I haven't really seen Derek Carr really utilize tight ends the way that I feel like some other teams will. Maybe the offense that Kellen Moore will run will make it a little bit more tight end friendly. So maybe Warren would be able to come in and provide a really good pass catching tight end for the New Orleans Saints and a big target. But I would have to see that. But if McMillan is there at 9, I could see the New Orleans Saints getting him. If Mason Graham was there, he's probably going to be the top pick, because I'm thinking about the Saints completely reverting, and doing a complete overhaul of that defense. So you're going to need a guy that's a strong defensive tackle. If Mason Graham is there at 9, the Saints are going to draft him. wouldn't recommend this, but if the Saints are like really high on Mason Graham, I can see a possibility of them trying to move up to get him. So, I mean, because you need somebody that is going to be you're going to need somebody that is going to be the anchor who is going to be the fire starter on that defensive side of football. So you're going to need somebody that's a really good interior lineman in order for that 3-4 defense to be effective. So, yeah, but I mean, with Derek Carr coming back, I can see the New Orleans Saints, bringing in a target like McMillan if he's available. But I can also see them possibly going after somebody like Mason Graham. Agreed, Jerry. Let's take the cap hit now. While we're in deep hole anyway, and see what Spencer Rattler has to offer. I mean, to me, that's how I feel about it. But at this point, man, I just think that we basically just kind of what they call it spitting in the wind at this point. I don't think that's even on the Saints' mind right now. Let's see. I agree, Josh, but the Saints brass don't. Yep, pretty much, Barbara. As much as we wanted to see Carr gone deep down inside, we knew what Loomis was going to do. I think a lot of us already knew what Loomis was going to do, and I think that a lot of us probably felt a certain way or probably thought that there was a chance because we heard the press conference and how Kellen Moore didn't really, say that Derek Carr was going to be that starting quarterback. He didn't come out there and he didn't say it. So as far as I'm concerned, like that was probably an indicator to some Saints fans that, man, maybe he's not going to come back. But I just think that by them pretty much confirming, that at the combine in Indianapolis on Wednesday, that, it just kind of ticked off Saints fans to actually hear it. It's one thing to actually, wonder, but to get it confirmed, it just, puts everything into perspective there. So I think that's where the Saints fans are. This is the thankful beginning of a rebuild. Obviously, O-line and unfortunate Cam and Double D finishing up their career. So rebuild on the defensive line as well. Yeah, I think that's where you got to start, especially once again, changing from a 4-3 defense to a 3-4. You're going to need a personnel change. So to me, I think that you got to utilize these draft picks. And even in some cases, you might even need to consider maybe stockpiling some draft picks as well, if there's an opportunity that presents itself that you can actually take advantage of. If you cut Carr post June 1, I believe you save $28 million. Well, the Saints ain't thinking like that. They ain't thinking like that. Let's see. More better design some run schemes you've never seen before next year. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to put an emphasis on the running game. Let's see. We are 51, 203, and 813 over the cap. Look, I think that once they restructure these deals of like guys like Carl Granderson and Derek Carr and a couple others, probably Cesar Ruiz and Eric McCoy, because I'm thinking about those are probably the most highly paid players and high salaries on the Saints team. So once you restructure that, you'll probably be in cap compliance. And then, of course, like you have to make some tough decisions with some veterans like Taysom Hill, like Cam Jordan, like Tyrann Mathieu, guys like that. But they'll be cap compliant. Josh, thank you very much for the $2. Says breaking Moore retains TJ Jones as his podcast. Well, look, man, I'm you all's podcast, and I'm not anybody within the Saints organization podcast. I can tell you that. I hope they enjoy the show. Nothing that I'm saying, I feel like is anything personal. I'm just doing it based on what I feel. But look, I'm the people's podcast, and that's good enough for me. If I got the love and respect for the people, that's all that matters to me. And I appreciate y'all for being here. Says TJ, not gonna lie. I was kind of annoyed when I read the report. They're moving forward with Carr. I say sign Fields and let him and Rattler battle it out. Cut Carr post June 1 and save $28 million. Yeah, I think a lot of people was upset. I mean, honestly, I seen the tweet today on X, but I really didn't say too much of anything on social media today. I just saw it and I was just like, well, this is gonna be interesting. I'll just save it for when we have a conversation here on the podcast. But look, I understand how this makes Saints fans feel, how frustrating this has to be for Saints fans to be dealing with this type of situation. But this is what happens, man, when you have a general manager that isn't like your stereotypical general manager, where he has to make these tough decisions and he's being evaluated by every single decision that he makes. This guy's pretty much made out of Teflon here, and you just got to hope that he makes the best decisions for the organization. When you don't have anybody breathing down your neck or making you feel a little bit uncomfortable or feel that heat starting to rise, you gotta be lax because you know that you have all the time in the world. So I don't know what the thinking was behind this whole Derek Carr thing. I don't think Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in the world. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that if you look at a guy over his 12-year career, never won a playoff game, played over 169 games and never won a playoff game. I don't know if that's a record or is up there, close to a record, but that's not what you want. Like you don't want a quarterback teasing your fan base. But like I said, at this point, Derek Carr would have to win like league MVP or be flirting with that in order for Saints fans to, start like buying into him. Like it would have to take something monumental in a career of Derek Carr in order for Saints fans to get on board with him at all. I'm talking about even if he goes out there and he plays relatively well. I don't think he played bad last season. But the thing about it is it wasn't it. If you're looking at it from a statistical standpoint, he didn't play bad. But when you're looking at games that mattered, putting a team on your back, qualities that you look at in a franchise quarterback, he didn't possess that. So you can present me with all type of numbers and touchdown to interception ratios and completion percentages. You can do all that stuff. That's cool, but it's not going to always tell the whole story, man. Like I'm not looking at Derek Carr because what he completed. Let me look this up. Let me look this up because I want to make sure I give him his credit here. But I don't care what he completed. Last season he completed 67.7% of his passes, 2,145 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, had a quarterback rating of 101. All right, so it was better than he did last year. His completion percentage was a tad bit higher in 2023 than 2024. But when you look at it, when it comes to the eye test, like what did your eyes tell you? Like what happened in clutch situations? What happened during the totality of the game? When you are just telling me, oh, he had 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 67% completion percentage. Like, okay. But what happened when things like really matter? Like what happened in the second quarter when you could have really separated yourself in this game because the defense was playing all right? Like what happened in those games? Like did you do 3 and out, but you were checking it down and maybe you threw the pass to Alvin Kamara and it was completed for 2 yards? Guess what? That's still a completion. So I think a lot of people just kind of looking at it that way. Like, the numbers are, respectable, but I mean, I'd rather a quarterback go out there that may not be completing 67% of his passes, but he's putting the team in the best position to win, and he's putting the team on his back when it matters. So, at the end of the day, I think that is something that you just can't teach. That's something that analytics won't show you, is when a quarterback has that mentality to put a team on his back and be able to carry him. Sometimes his completion percentage may not look the part. Maybe his touchdown to interception ratio may not look the part. I'll give you an example. Like Patrick Mahomes. Last season, he didn't have his best season. He threw a lot of interceptions last season, but he still got them to the Super Bowl. Now they got the brakes beat off of him. But at the same time, we know that Patrick Mahomes is capable of putting a team on his back. Good statistics, bad statistics. We know that Patrick Mahomes can deliver. But when it comes to Derek Carr, like you just up here trying to feed me stats and trying to keep yourself relevant and keep yourself in a conversation or maybe be a part of barbershop talk when it talks about, man, I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. Man, no, he ain't. Yes, he is. No, he ain't. Like that's not doing it for the Who Dat Nation, man. You got to start winning some football games. Like you got to win some games that matter. You got to win a playoff game. You got to, team down. You know what I'm saying? A couple players. Like, you got to look to you to be able to deliver. And if you're not doing that, then guess what, man? You just an average Joe Blow, no matter what your numbers look like. Carr is the first quarterback to lose to 31 teams. Yeah, I mean, it probably would have been 32 if he would have played against his old team. He puts blame on everyone else but himself. Yeah, I think that kind of rubbed people the wrong way. And I don't think a lot of people really forgave him for that whole Olave spiel against the Jaguars a couple of years ago. Carr not teasing us, he playing in our faces. Does Mason Graham play nose tackle? This dude to me can play pretty much anything. This man can play pretty much anything if you ask me. Like, man, that dude an incredible talent. Like, I just like the way that he plays. Like, he just plays with this intensity, man, that I don't see too many players really have, man. He doesn't look at the scoreboard. And that's one trait that I feel like really great players have. So he definitely, like, I feel like if the Saints draft Mason Graham, he gonna be an instant fan favorite, like the way that he plays the game. Like, that's how much respect I have for that dude. Let me see. The first 2 games he played really good, but then y'all started hating him because people can't lose. No, I don't even think it's that. I think that people were already lukewarm on him. Like, people already lukewarm on him because of his first season and how he was protected and coddled by the organization. I mean, that was well documented. This isn't hyperbole I'm talking here. Like, it was well documented that some players, were rubbed the wrong way when it comes to like the treatment of Derek Carr within the Saints organization. And I think that Saints fans kind of also felt like, you're like a new guy here, right? You just started to go here. Like, these other players, man, they've been in a foxhole. And I just think that kind of, made Saints fans feel like, man, this dude must feel like he up here and everybody else down here. And we know how people from Gulf Coast, like we know how we roll, right? We know how we roll. Like, when we love you, we love you. But if you show this loyalty in any way, it's gonna be hard for that person to get fully forgiven. They'll probably get forgiven, but you'll never forget. In the first line of trouble, you're gonna bring up that transgression. So I think that has a lot to do with it, man. But I just think that people just expect more from a guy that is making $100 million as a quarterback. It doesn't matter, like, you can talk about how salaries are structured, but look, man, everybody ain't got $100 million. So you can talk about, oh man, the salary, the way it's structured, that's not a lot of money. Shoot, to somebody that's in a league like Patrick Mahomes, maybe it ain't a lot of money. But to Joe Blow on the street, you start talking about $100 million, that's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So you talk about individuals that feel like, $1,000 is a lot of money. $5,000, like, man, like, you got to be real about this situation. When people start talking about $100 million, they think about that being a lot of money. You can talk about NFL salaries, but most people that you see don't really understand how the salary cap structure is anyway. They just hear a number and think, man, that guy makes a lot of money. So you got to hold him to a high regard because he makes a certain amount of money that we would have to live 2 and 3 lifetimes even to attain. So, when you add all that up, going at Olave, getting into it with Eric McCoy, like I said, plausible deniability, made a Teflon, like, it's going to rub people the wrong way. So, yeah, you combine all that, people are going to be pretty cold when it comes to Derek Carr. I put 500 on the whole season. You put 500 on the whole season for what? To do what? Would you put $500 on the season for? Didn't mess with Olave. Stuff Carr did weirdo-ish. Yeah, I just think that that was one of the first strikes right there. Dude ate at Chipotle the first day. Yeah, like stuff like that. Like, I don't see anything wrong with Chipotle. I think that they a really good restaurant. My wife, she liked those taco bowls, but all I'm saying, all I'm saying is, man, look, I don't feel like that's an indictment. That just sounds like somebody that don't know where to eat at. Or maybe, people feel like maybe Derek Carr should have got on X and been like, hey, man, what's a good spot to eat at? But, I mean, he wasn't embedded in his culture, right? He didn't have the old crawfish festival that most young players have, right? Where they eat crawfish and Louisiana delicacies, when they get drafted. He didn't have all that, right? So, he had to go word of mouth or somebody that he knew. And maybe that person that he knew wasn't familiar with the city. So I don't feel like that's an indictment. But I think that, when you combine the fact that, like I said, a lot of people felt like the rules were different for Derek Carr than it was for other players. And they probably felt like, you haven't earned that right. So, I mean, I ain't knocking a man for eating at Chipotle. I mean, who don't eat at Chipotle? Like, I actually, but I mean, I know what you're saying, man. You're in New Orleans. Why would you eat at Chipotle? But I'm from New Orleans. Like, I know where to go. I know where to go. Like, if you look at the thumbnail right now, you know what I'm saying? Look, I mean, it in the background, you got man shoes. So. I mean, I got a cheat sheet. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the city. But for somebody that not familiar with the area, they probably are going to eat at a food chain. TJ trying to get that Chipotle money, you heard? Like, nah, I ain't trying to get no Chipotle money. Like, Chipotle, they're a really good restaurant. Like, what can I say? Like, man, who don't like Chipotle? Like, seriously, who don't like Chipotle? I mean, they're a good restaurant. Like, good food. Like, I actually live like right down the street from a Chipotle, probably about a mile away. Good food, man. Especially like when you're trying to eat healthy and stuff like that, working out. Like, go get yourself like one of those little taco salad bowls that they got, man. Good stuff right there. Really, TJ, he could have asked a teammate. Yeah, I mean, Charmaine, yeah, he probably could have asked a teammate. Yeah, but I mean, you just starting to get to know guys like that. And like I said, it probably, it's just probably one of them situations where you just, I don't know, man. Look, I get what you're saying, but I don't feel like that's a reason for everybody to be like, look at him. He ate at Chipotle. He could have at least. That's why I don't like him. This old Chipotle eating. Look, I don't feel like that's a reason why. I don't feel like that's a reason why you should, like, just, man. And then on top of that, he ate at Chipotle. He threw 2 interceptions in his game, a pick 6, and he ate at Chipotle. God, like, that ain't no way. Ain't no reason to just like somebody. Oh, man. What will it take for Carr to get the Who Dat fan base respect from your opinion? I already told you. It's going to have to take something monumental in order for Derek Carr to get into the good graces of the Who Dat Nation. It's going to have to take flirting with an MVP. It's going to have to take like him playing out his freaking mind. It's going to have to take a deep run in the postseason. It's going to have to take something like that. Like, it can't be we won these 2 straight games. Oh, we lost, but he put up 350 yards and 2 touchdowns. No. It's gonna have to take something that Saints fans haven't seen from him, like putting those numbers up and winning, putting the team on his back. Like I said, deep run in the playoffs, beating some teams that are credible around the National Football League. That's what it's gonna take. Like, fair, unfair, that's what it's gonna take. Because fair, unfair, he's being compared to the greatest quarterback that ever has put on a Saints uniform. That's a fact. The standard is so freaking high for Derek Carr as the quarterback because Saints fans have seen greatness. They have witnessed 15 years of greatness with Drew Brees. Fair, unfair. You know who is going to come in with a clean slate? The next successor that they have for this team, the next franchise quarterback that they have for this team. That is the person that is going to come in with a clean slate. because he is going to be being compared to Derek Carr. So Derek Carr has the unbelievable weight and chip on the shoulder to have to be, I don't want to say be what Drew Brees is, but he has to kind of pick up that manner, like it's kind of like with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, right? Aaron Rodgers, to me, kind of, superseded what Brett Favre did in a Packers uniform. I mean, he won a league MVP on several occasions. He won a Super Bowl MVP. So nobody's going to sit up here and be like, man, you ain't no Brett Favre. Like, you're right. He's Aaron Rodgers. So he kind of he went further, right? And Jordan Love, I know he has some a rough outing in the postseason over the last couple of years, but I mean, he seems like he's starting to fall into place and starting to build his own legacy. But Derek Carr is being compared to the greatest New Orleans Saint that ever put on the Saints uniform, in Drew Brees. Keno, thank you very much for the $5. Said TJ, if we move to a 3-4 scheme, where does that leave Cam Jordan? And do we have the linebackers to do this? Because Warner and Davis won't be enough. No, we don't. The Saints do not have the personnel, I mean, based on what I see right now, to be able to successfully run a 3-4 defense. So they're going to have to freshen this thing up a little bit. They're going to have to spruce this thing up, as my mom said, kind of spruce it up a little bit. You got to be able to do that. No, I don't see that. But, I think they have some athletic linebackers on their team. And, it's kind of hard for me to sit up here and say that they can't do what is required of a 3-4, especially when we know that the Saints haven't really done these young guys any favors in developing them in some cases throughout the years. I think that's a fair point when you're seeing other guys go to different places and really turn the corner. So who's to say that one of these guys can't get it done? Who said that Jalen Ford possibly can't thrive in a 3-4? Who says that Isaiah Foskey can't possibly thrive in a 3-4? We just automatically assume that these guys aren't good enough because they haven't seen the field. But as we can see, guys like Zach Bond, give them opportunity, Trey Hendrickson, give them opportunity, they're going to knock it out of the park. So, so there it is. I'm going to read a few more, then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Booker, if I were him, I would. I don't know exactly what we're talking about. I kind of caught the tail end of that. Let's see. You keep him, but make it open competition at quarterback. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that should be with anybody. I don't feel like a number or how much a person needs to be paid or getting paid. You should just completely ignore the development of a quarterback that seems like he rising up the ranks. Like, you shouldn't just become oblivious to that. But yeah, man, I just think that he's just going to be the starting quarterback. It is what it is, man. And you just got to hope that Kellen Moore, if things ain't going the way that he needs them to go, that he does have the bravery and the toughness to be able to make that decision and going with another quarterback. J-Rock says at minimum, Derek Carr will have to be a top 5 candidate for Offensive Player of the Year, winning the division, and get to the division round of play. Yeah, it had to be something that we haven't seen from him in a Saints uniform, or something that he has not done in his career, which when it comes to the playoffs, is quite a few things that he hasn't done. I'm not taking shots. That's just the reality. He hasn't won a playoff game. He's never seen a divisional round of the playoffs. And he only went to the playoffs 2 times in his entire career. And you've been in the NFL for 12 seasons, going into your 12th season. So you're going to have to do something that Saints fans have never seen done. It's going to have to be one of those points where it's like, man, I ain't know Derek Carr had it in him. That's what it's going to have to be. We got 443 people watching this right now. I just ask that you hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you like the content so far that you tuned in and watched. Please, pretty please, subscribe to the channel. Help the channel to grow. Every little counts. Every like counts. Every subscriber counts. I would appreciate that very much. Josh says, TJ, since you're the People's Podcast, and you must develop a people's elbow. Well, nah, that's copyright infringement. That belongs to the most electrifying man in all of entertainment, the final boss. Yo, that's who that belongs to. The jabroni beating, la 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 la, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising. The people's champ, The Rock. So we're gonna let him have that. I'm just, I'm the people's podcast. I just call myself that. I dub myself that. Well, I don't even say dub myself that. I just appreciate the people that, that come here. All right. I could be the man of the people. Bruce says, I'm hoping with the new staffing, AK Miller can do better on the run. O-line changes gotta happen. Yeah, you got to change some things up, man. Offensive line, I hope that you see improvement there. I hope that Kendre Miller can do something, man. If not, then, Saints need to find themselves another running back. But they're going to have to rely on his running game, and guys got to do their part. They're going to have to do their part. Let's see. You did the la low. I think Cody won't sell out on Saturday. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. Nah, I don't think that's going to happen this Saturday. Let's see. That was fun with you and John O'Borns. Yeah, man, I enjoy doing the show with John O, man. I enjoy being on the show. He talked about a lot, man. He talked about a lot of stuff that didn't even really pertain to the New Orleans Saints. And I'm always having appreciation for people, willing to, ask me different questions about me as a person. Like there's different layers of me. I love football, but I love my family. I love other things in life. There's way more things that I'm into than just sports like that. I mean, I do a podcast here and enjoy doing it, but I appreciate Jono, for opening up his platform and having me on, man. It was pretty fun to be on that show. Jono bought out the long hair. Yeah, man, that was a little bit of a curveball right there, man. But it wasn't like it was something I was ashamed of, I enjoyed having dreads back in the day. I didn't feel bad about it, it was just it was just funny, to see those pictures after all those years, man. It's been like almost a decade since I had hair. Let's see. Carr is not getting the Saints to the playoff. The Saints are too old. O-line is trash. Defense is not what it used to be. AK still searching for his 1,000 rushing yards. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of things going on. It ain't just Derek Carr, but I just think Dark Side, with all due respect, I know that you like Derek Carr. You respect him a lot. And look, I respect Derek Carr too, man, but I do look at Derek Carr as someone that needs a supporting cast around him. Like, he isn't somebody that I look at that can just carry the show. And I just think that you need a solid defense. I think you need a running game. I think you need some other things that's going on around Derek Carr in order for him to thrive. And that's fair. Like, we've grown accustomed to feeling like franchise quarterbacks got to, put the whole team on his back, and and justifiably so, because the quarterback in most cases is demanding the majority of the salary. So with great power, with great bankroll comes great responsibility, right? So I just think that he just needs things that are around him. But like I said, that's not an indictment. I think we've grown accustomed to feeling like when somebody says, oh, he needs something around him, we just automatically think he stinks. But some guys can do it, put the S on their chest and carry a team, and then you got other guys that can win some games, but running game got to be on point one week. Maybe he can't. Like we seen Jimmy Garoppolo throw 6 touchdowns against the Saints before, right? But also we seen Jimmy Garoppolo only throw the ball 10 times, and San Francisco went to the Super Bowl. So sometimes that guy can put on a star-studded performance, but in most cases they're going to need other things around them in order for them to find success consistently. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you, no matter where you are, wherever you may be. we'll continue our talks about the NFL Combine. I know there was some defensive linemen. They showcased their skills on this evening. If you're watching this on a Wednesday, I want to say defensive backs are tomorrow, and then you got the wide receivers, and then you got the quarterbacks on Saturday. I mean, so this is a time where you're going to start evaluating talent, taking a look at talent, and really seeing what could possibly belong to the New Orleans Saints on draft day. There's a lot of talent that is going to be on display during the combine. Shouts out to all the reporters and beat writers on the ground. Really excited about that. Shouts out to so many different people that's out there, man, that be sending information out. I really do appreciate it. And I mean, it should be fun, to see what the Saints are going to do in this year's draft. It's going to be fun to see that. TJ, this is what I say. We don't have no quarter. Man. Yeah, I mean, look, morale, as you can see, morale is low, man. But they got that old saying, they got that song, man. Mama said there'll be days like this, right? We knew that this was going to be a little bit of a tough season. Possibly there were going to be some things that could happen that wasn't very favorable. But all in all, I just hope that the Saints are competitive and try to trend in the right direction to try to build something absolutely special. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what this team can actually do. I'm not going to, just completely just throw away Kellen Moore based on one decision that I'm not too fond of. I want to give him an opportunity. I feel like that's fair of the Who Dat Nation to do so. I understand your frustration, but here we are. And I just hope that they can get through this. Previous episodes of the State of the Saints podcast right here on YouTube, youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. Also check out Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones every Wednesday, 7 p.m. on Bleacher Report. Make sure you check that out. And also you can follow me on X at TJAY Jones 8. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.